Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the clerk call House Committee Sub 1, please?
Clerk, please report.
House Committee Substitute 1 to House Bill 9.
Gentleman from Nelson.
Move adoption.
Motion is for the adoption of House Committee Substitute 1. Is there any discussion on the committee sub? Seeing none, those in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. House Committee Substitute 1 is adopted. Gentleman from Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, back in 2017, so actually during my first term here, this body adopted charter schools. And charter schools as they exist right now apply in every school district in this state. They can be authorized by the local school board as well as 2 different mayors. This bill, as amended by the committee sub, does not change that process at all. The only authorizers back in 2017 remain the only authorizers now. Under the current law as it exists, if an applicant were to apply to a local school board and be denied, that applicant has the right to appeal to the Kentucky Department of Education. We have not changed that. That is still the only right of appeal. Under current law, the Kentucky Department of Education, though, is not required to articulate why they're going to deny. So one change this law makes, and this law is going to do 3 different things. This is one of the big ones. It says that the KDE has to tell you why they're denying you or approving you and say why this is or is not something good for the local community. In addition, we've changed and asked the KDE to offer technical assistance to an applicant. If somebody wants some help on their application, let's say, for example, a local school board says you didn't provide enough financial information, now you can ask the KDE to help articulate what it is that is being looked for. But perhaps the most important thing we changed here, under current law, the KDE could decide that they're going to grant the appeal and force a charter school in a district where the district did not want one. That's current law. We're changing that law here to benefit our smaller school districts because I'm worried about smaller school districts and their budgeting capacity. I think it's important that they know how many kids they're going to have and what they can budget to. And so under the current law, under the law that I'm proposing, if you are a school district with less than 7,500 kids, part of the application process requires that you submit a memorandum of understanding with your application from the local school district. If you can't get that, then your application is deemed incomplete, and thus you don't have an appeal right. So to boil all that down, what it means is if we pass this current law, we give our smaller school districts, those below 7,500, basically the absolute right to veto whether or not a charter school is in their district. So that's change 1. Change 2 is we're codifying, not in the budget, which we've done in the past, but we're codifying in statute the funding mechanism for charter schools. Really won't matter unless a local school district authorizes a charter school, but at least by putting it out there, the charter schools will have the ability to do their applications knowing what the funding will be. Those are the only 2 things in this bill that are sort of a change from current law. But the third and final component of this bill is that it authorizes 2 pilot projects. Mr. Speaker, one of the biggest things I've heard over the last 6 months while we've worked on this is, well, if there's a need for one of these, why don't we do a pilot project and see if they work? So we've looked at it 100 different ways, and I think we've figured out a way to do 2 different pilot projects. And at the end of the day, hopefully what we'll see is next year, won't come until 2023, but hopefully we will see a pilot project maybe somewhere in the west end of Louisville and one in northern Kentucky. And that pilot project can report back to us as a body and let us know, is this thing working or not working? Do we have all the right guardrails up? What other changes need to be made? It'll give us the information we need. So with that, Mr. Speaker, I would move passage of House Bill 9 as amended by House Committee Sub 1.